Well, that was long, wasn't it? I mean, that rant didn't help. And to be honest, we probably could have cut an hour off the show if we didn't have all that hugging between Nikki Bella and John Cena. But still, WrestleMania 33 is in the books, and that means we got to go through it and review it and tell you what was an up and what was a down, or what was a good bit, what was a bad bit. Now, there were some proper highlights, but there were some proper lowlights as well, which means WrestleMania end of it kind of comes across as a thumbs middle show, which is not what you want. WrestleMania, you want to be the best show of the year, but that doesn't matter, because I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and it's time to up some WrestleMania downs. A lot of people didn't want it, a lot of people thought it was a waste of time, a lot of people thought it was beneath AJ Styles, but Styles and Shane McMahon did open the show, and it was actually alright. It's pretty exciting. It was a good opener. So it gets an up. Now, Shane McMahon did get a little bit too much offense in for my liking, because how am I meant to believe that he is a better wrestler than the best wrestler in the company, AJ Styles? But that aside, AJ Styles won, and that's all that matters. He beat and defeated Shane McMahon, and because of this, the McMahons will probably love him forever. So that's good. WWE was smart with it too. Putting it at the very start of everything meant nobody cared that Shane McMahon didn't jump off something crazy, and he still did a shooting star press. And given that he's like 47 years old and not a wrestler, it's pretty good. And while that may not be as good as, say, jumping off the top of a cell, doesn't matter. It's a good match. They got everything in. Again, Styles won. I actually think it was one of the better moments of the night. Who would have thought it? As was Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. May have been a bit more conservative than I was expecting. It did everything it had to do. Finished the feud off nicely for now. It's an up. The two put some interesting spots in there, including a rolling thunder into a Walls of Jericho, which I particularly like. And let's not forget that, again, when we're talking about older people, Chris Jericho is 46 years old and moves like he's about 32. Moves better than I do, and I'm old. Good work, Chris. Owens eventually won after a powerbomb on the apron, and we can draw a line under all of this now, which is nice. Owens came out on top. Jericho can go away for a while. He's actually, rocking out with Fozzy. Then he can come back, and we can carry this on. I'm not bored of it. It's really fun. Which brings us to the biggest up of the night, which is, of course, the return of the Hardys. It was so well done, and the crowd was so receptive to it. I got a bit emotional watching. I mean, these two guys have kicked ass all over the world the last 18 months, so you watched it and you thought, damn right, you deserve it. And seeing 70,000 people chant delete, well, everyone did the hand thing. That is what WrestleMania is all about. That was the only real WrestleMania moment, but damn it was it a good one. There did seem to be some smart editing on WWE's behalf when they were doing the whole delete stuff, but maybe that's me reading into stuff that's not there. But other than that, the ladder match was really good. They did some crazy stuff. Everyone involved did their job well, and the Hardy Boys are the Raw Tag Team Champions. WrestleMania. I'd say there's even room eventually to move Jeff to one brand and Matt to the other. They can both be single stars. Jeff can go back to being crazy high flyer Jeff Hardy, and if everything can be worked out, Matt can be broken Matt. This is a win-win. Excellent. Alas though, this does bring us to the first down of the night, and it's all because of context, and that's why the Women's Raw title match, thumbs down. Now, unsurprisingly, it was all really good. Even Nia Jax played her part, and the finish did see Bayley dropping the Macho Man-like elbow drop onto Charlotte to retain her title. Fine, no problem, good stuff. But let's just imagine the same situation if Bayley had won the title and Charlotte had lost her first match on pay-per-view all at WrestleMania 33. That's just better. That is just better. It's just better. It would have felt bigger, it would have felt more important, and it would have been one of those moments where you look back and go, oh yeah, WrestleMania, that happened, and this happened, as opposed to, oh, cool, Bayley retained, and now she's going to lose at Payback, which I think is in San Jose, which is her hometown. Fabu. Take a quick break to head to the pre-show and give Neville and Austin Aries a really easy up. The two did what they could. They probably had the best technical match of the night, and they had to do it with their sun in their eyes, which is really hard. Loved it though, so yeah, up. For the Andre the Giant Battle Royal though, that's getting a down, and that's not because Mojo Rawley won. Don't care about that. If you want Mojo to win, 2 thumbs up from me. But if you're gonna do that, don't put Braun Strowman in there, don't put Killian Dane in there, don't put anyone in there that is not going to benefit because they just get thrown out. And what's happened to Braun Strowman? 6 weeks ago, he was the hottest thing in the company, now he's just an angry dude that couldn't even win a Battle Royale. I don't get it. Right, back to the main card, and it's the Cenas versus the Miz's, and it's getting a big fat down. It was no real surprise that John and Nikki won, but they did it so convincingly. I looked at Miz and Maurice and I just thought, that's not fair. They've worked really hard at this program, and yet it ended with Nikki pinning Maurice and John pinning the Miz, and the ref even waited until they both had them covered so he could count them both down for 3. And then we got the marriage proposal. And it was fine, and the crowd loved it. Seen as a bit weird because he admitted to basically asking a woman to marry him when she was comatose. John, that ain't normal. But it came across as really cringy to me and, unsurprisingly, really fake. What's worse is now they've rounded up the most important Total Diva storyline. What am I going to watch it for now? Jeez. I'd be intrigued to see what other people thought about this, but Triple H versus Seth Rollins, it was solid, it was fine, they did their job well. So it's getting up. Everything with Rollins' knee tied in well to the equation too, and it actually helped build a better story. The crowd wasn't buying it, and the two wrestlers never changed what they were doing. So there was a disconnect between audience and what was happening in the ring, and as a fan at home, man, I just fell out of it entirely. Could have done without Stephanie and McMahon though, even with that table spot, especially because it's not real comeuppance. It's accidental comeuppance, and that's not real comeuppance. I don't think I'm saying that word right. So yeah, it just didn't feel like a Mania match. It didn't have that pop, it didn't have that whiz, it didn't have that bang. But credit to Rollins and Triple H, they did what they had to do. Just a bit strange, but it had the right finish. Rollins hit the pedigree, 1, 2, 3, so like I say, it gets an up, but maybe a touch disappointing. That Triple H entrance though, pull it back, Trips. You are enough. It gets sillier and sillier to the point now, it's a bit strange to watch. Down. And down for the musical performances as well. I get if you're there in the arena, it's quite nice because it breaks everything up, but it's not good if you're watching at home. I was watching it at home. Does Bray Wyatt now have production magical powers too? So he can just make things appear on the screen? This went way too far. I liked Orton and Wyatt at the start. This just petered out for me, so it's getting a down. There was nothing wrong with this match, and again, the two dudes are so talented, but much like Triple H and Rollins, it did fall flat, but maybe because this one was for a title, it just felt worse. Because when Randy Orton won, I just went, yeah, okay, and that's for a world title win at WrestleMania. Hence why Rollins gets an up, and this one gets a down. It basically got lost in the shuffle on a really long and really bloated card, and when that's happening to one of your world titles, that's not good, man. That's like you're just wearing a piece of tin around your groinal region. It should mean everything, and it didn't. Tear in my eye. Okay, the other world title, Goldberg, Lesnar. I've made no secret that I love the build, I love the fact that it was happening, and I love these two big dudes, yes? Which means Simon Miller loves big sweaty men. And as for this match, massive up. The start of it was flipping awesome. We saw German suplexes, and then we saw a spear out of nowhere, and then we saw a spear through a barricade. It was fast, it was intense, it was hard hitting, and it had, as I've said, two big dudes kicking the crap out of each other. And that's how I like my pro wrestling. It was so good, it even turned the crowd in the favour of Bill Goldberg, who had been booed for a bit. Why are you booing him? All the guy got was a phone call saying, "Hey Bill, do you want to come back for loads of money and wrestle?" Yeah, I do. But honestly, this is exactly what it should have been. And Lesnar kicked out of the jackhammer, and I don't think we've ever seen that before, but I could be wrong. But if I am right, the commentators should have made a much bigger deal about that, and they didn't. For shame. But it felt completely different from everything else on WrestleMania. Lesnar did that amazing leapfrog. Good grief, and it ended the right way. Lesnar is on top of the mountain again. He's the beast with the gold. Goldberg was defeated. It couldn't have gone any better. Great build from Survivor Series till now. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. We're different people. I, though, loved it. The women's Smackdown title match was literally moved back onto the main card so it could act as filler before Roman versus Taker. Down. It was good, and Naomi winning was a nice feeling, even though it just meant WWE shouldn't have taken the belt off her to begin with. But ultimately, this meant nothing. There were too many bodies in it, and it wasn't given any kind of importance or any kind of prominence. It was just thrown on there because why the hell not? It's nice that WWE wants to get everybody onto the show, but don't do it this way. Take a step back and think about things and make every match mean more than just it's a match on WrestleMania. Huge shame. I mean, no one's going to be talking about this in a week, and all Mania matches should be talked about for years to come. Ah well. Well, what do you know? We did have a record-breaking attendance number at WrestleMania, which I'm sure wasn't made up at all. Not up, not down, just an observation. Which brings us to the main event, which yes, was Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker, and that does mean Reigns has now headlined WrestleMania 3 times, and he's only like 15 years old. CM Punk must be livid. I like that this was last in theory though. Out of all of the matches on WrestleMania, this is the one that had me intrigued the most, in the sense I wasn't 100% sure how it was going to go. Even with the world title matches, I had a good idea, and while WWE could have swerved me, I didn't think that was going to happen. So here I was like, sweet, we've got to the end of a very, very, very long show, but at least I've got that hint of doubt about what's going to happen. And it was obvious something was awry when they brought in Jim Ross to call it. And on a side note, as we brought up Jim Ross, I'm sure I speak for everyone here at WhatCulture when we send our best wishes to the greatest commentator of all time. We're all thinking of you, Jim. And it got even more awry when from nowhere they just said, oh, by the way, it's a no-holds-barred match, which means you can only win by submission or pinfall. So you thought, okay, we're going to see weapons. And overall, it was okay, but it was a bit boring. I mean, it had some cool spots. That spear through the table was nice, and I liked how Taker had control at the start, but then Roman slowly wore him down because Taker's the old veteran and he doesn't have much stamina anymore. But it just fell flat. And by the end, you kind of just sat around going, I think I'm meant to be emotional about this, but I'm not. There was a feeling of apathy. Apathy in the main event of WrestleMania. And it was just so easy to telegraph once it all got going. No one believed that Roman Reigns was going to lose after one tombstone, and no one believed The Undertaker was going to win from spears and punches. So you're like, where's this going? What's the point? There was no heat. There was no build. And then when Roman Reigns did win, which I wanted by the way, because I thought it could spark this huge heel turn, it didn't. Nobody cared. Everyone just shrugged their shoulders and went, yeah, fine, whatever. So it gets it down. Undertaker lost at WrestleMania again. But did anybody give a damn? It didn't seem like it. Again, people just sat there, and I did too, going, whatever, man. You do whatever it is that you want to do. I'm going to eat some protein. The best bit of the whole thing, of course, was when Undertaker just popped up in the middle of the rampway, because if they hadn't have done that, his entrance would have taken 722 years, and then when he left, he descended back down into it. Also, Taker, you wore your hat a little bit too tight. A red line on your head there. As for The Undertaker though, one huge, fantastic, wonderful up. I'm guessing that was his last match. He left all his gear in the ring once he was done. He had a long send-off. That's how 33 closed. And that was actually very sad and emotional, because for most of us, we've grown up with The Undertaker. He's been there since the early 90s, and now we're in 2017, and being the legend and old school guy that he is, he went out on his back. You hero. We also learned he does have a new superpower where he can get changed back into his clothes really quickly when a promo package airs. But with all seriousness, thank you, Undertaker, and we'll be seeing you at the Hall of Fame next year, I assume. One last up for the New Day though, who I actually thought did a good job as hosts. Didn't get in the way, kept things ticking along, didn't annoy me. Can't ask for more than that. And one final up, because there was no Rock on the show. And you may go, I wanted the Rock on the show. But last year he came out, he was out there for about 22 hours and he set his name on fire. I didn't need that again, was glad not to see it. And that was WrestleMania 33. And while nothing was specifically wrong with it, it just never had that big moment aside from the Hardys returning, and it never really went, this is WrestleMania. And that's a shame, but I enjoyed it because I enjoy all the hoopla around WrestleMania. But yeah, let's be honest, when we're talking about the greats of all time, we won't be mentioning 33. Now don't forget to like, share and subscribe and leave a comment below, and come tell us what you thought about WrestleMania on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, or I'm at Simon Miller 316, and you can go to WhatCulture.com and read the ups and downs articles with your eyes. I am Simon from WhatCulture. I hope you enjoyed your WrestleMania journey, and I'll be seeing you for the funnest week in wrestling, and that is of course the post-Raw and Smackdowns after the biggest show of the year.